This podcast is brought to you by our supporters over at Patreon. Visit patreon.com/dissectingthe80s to find out how you can get bonus episodes, a monthly newsletter, and so much other great stuff, including a custom RSS feed that you can drop into your favorite podcast player so you can listen to the bonus episodes right alongside this one. We also recently integrated with Spotify, so if you subscribe to our Patreon, you can listen to it there if you're a Spotify user. That's patreon.com/dissectingthe80s. Welcome to Dissecting the 80s. I am the Spooktacular Trip Lano, and with me, as always, is my tag team partner, a man who also finds this to be his favorite part of the year, the Macho Man Drew.
Andrew Lano, but it is the fucking balmiest Spooktacular on record, and I'm not happy about it.
Well, it is to peel back the curtain, September 13th today, 14th?
Yeah, it's not supposed to be mid-80s. It's supposed to be like mid-70s at this time.
Look. Global warming has permanently shifted the seasons. We have to catch up to this eventually. I think summer is going to have to shift to be a mid-September thing. Like the autumnal equinox is now actually the autumnal the sign.
It's just
the change.
a bummer because like all the vibes are changing, but the weather doesn't. So it's like, What do I do?
Yeah. And I don't want to turn this into, if you like pumpkin spice lattes and whatever, that's great and wonderful. But I have to say, God damn it, August is not when you put that stuff out.
I don't mind end of August.
It's Labor Day is the unofficial end of the summer. Can we just give some respect to this?
But the problem is now there's no weather delineation. It's like I'm living back in Florida, truthfully.
Well, it'll be mid-September.
Because I'm like, I drink iced coffees regardless, and like truthfully, I drink like 2 to 3 pumpkin spices and peppermint mochas a year, and like that's it. Otherwise, I just drink like a black iced coffee kind of situation. But I'm like, it feels so weird to be like, I'll have a pumpkin spice latte, and I'm like, oh, I'm sweating. I'm like. Right. Melting and sweating.
Keep it out of the summertime. Of course, all of our listeners in the Florida area are like, hey, asshole.
But it's like, truly when I worked and lived in Florida a million years ago, the only way I knew time change was the calendar and the decorations at Disney World.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's fall now. Thank you for telling me because my eyes sting from the sweat.
Well, anyway, here on the East Coast, I think summer is now basically like May to October.
Florida's technically the East Coast.
Yeah, the Northeast. Sorry, I did say East Coast.
I was like, I think...
Yeah, you're correct. I was wrong. Appreciate it. You are correct. Anyway, we should get to talking about this movie. It is the directorial debut of Mr. Stan Winston, special effects genius. It is Pumpkinhead, which we watched, so you know what that means.
We gotta go back. We gotta go dissect the 80s. It's your Swamp Witch. Someone's gonna just Swamp Witch.
When the mega powers explode.
It's time, right? Do not make any sudden moves.
Get away from him! Dad, where the hell's Clark's bro?
Halloween.
Wolfman's got
Rest in peace.
Hands down, best part of the movie.
I know gays love witches, but I stan a bog witch, a swamp witch, a woods witch, a location
I
witch.
fully believe
I'm here for it.
Witches should be scary. I don't.
I don't necessarily need scary because I think the idea of like the alluring, like the gingerbread house witch who's like drawing you in. There's a time and a place.
I'm just saying, if I'm picking scary witch over, sexy witch or sassy witch. That's all.
Well, as long as the sexiness is like part of the trap. Like, I don't want just like a booby witch just like being booby for no reason.
Like, Jesus H. Christ. Matthew Broderick's wife, Sex in the City.
Oh, Sarah Jessica Parker.
Yeah, how they have her in that corset that's just like squeezing her boobs.
And she's just doing calisthenics the whole movie.
And Hocus Pocus is like, hey, can you jiggle more toots?
I mean, yeah. But again, she was the alluring siren, so it made sense.
Yeah. Teen boys, myself included, liked looking at Sarah Jessica Parker in that movie, so I get it. This is a movie I've been curious about forever, and I've always
You've not seen it?
Left on the. No, you've seen this before.
I've seen this once before. So this was one of the I used to dog sit for a very good friend of mine, and they had a big TV and cable, which I didn't have cable, so it was like, I can go through the on demand or whatever. The only bummer is that clearly I was like, I forget that you all don't watch TV during the day, and it's wildly apparent by the placement of your TV in your living room because if it's a daytime thing, I'm like, we tried to watch that
direct sunlight,
that bullshit Slender Man movie, and I'm like wiggling my head back and forth as though I'm like...
I'm remembering, do you remember before Dad got up there and put a film over the windows, there was those
Yep.
Amityville
they were the quarter moon, the quarter circles that just bing.
That's the Amity, those are the Amity eyes, right? They're
I think so.
Quarter
sure.
moon, yeah. So we had two of them in our living room in the house we grew up in. And for the first, it was years before Dad finally broke down and got up there and fixed this. But I remember watching something once I was standing up holding a pillow on each arm over my head. It's as if you were carrying pails of water with something strapped to your shoulders. I had a pillow on each arm to make a square, and I was standing to the side so I could watch TV because the thing would just go right across the middle. You couldn't see shit.
Yeah. Basically,
it would make a shadow the size of the television. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut your story.
Exactly, no. So I'm literally just jerking my head around trying to find an angle for anything that will. If a movie was dark, I was like, "This, I can't watch this during the day." We kept being like, "Oh," my boyfriend "Let's watch The Lighthouse," and I was like, "We have to wait until dark to watch The Lighthouse here. We cannot watch The Lighthouse during the day."
That is not a daytime movie in that condition.
And so. So Pumpkinhead was one of the ones that I was like, I've wanted to watch this movie, the random things that are available on. Anytime I have access to on demand, I'm like, let me watch the things I've been meaning to watch. It's as if I'm on a desert island. I'm like, well, I can read that book I've been meaning to read.
Yeah.
I finally watched Psycho at our parents' old house because I was there alone doing laundry, and I was like, well, I can watch Psycho now.
Yeah.
So I have seen this once before. It's
okay.
Didn't grab me. So they're pretty fresh ideas, generally speaking, because this was over a year ago that I watched it. I would say.
Yeah. I am surprised that if you watched this before, you weren't pick something else.
It's 84 minutes, and not.
It might actually be 80 minutes because this opening sequence with the flame credits
too long.
is a doozy.
At least make them a flame in a pumpkin.
Yeah. The name of this movie is not a good descriptor for the movie.
No,
because he's not a pumpkin head.
He's got a pumpkin kind of shape, like a squidgy pumpkin-y head.
But it's called Pumpkinhead because he's in a pumpkin patch.
And he's got a weird shaped head.
But he does explicitly. They were like, he will not have a pumpkin head. When they were making this thing, Stan Winston was like, under no circumstances is the creature to have a pumpkin head.
Well,
I think the creature when we see the creature reinflate, and we'll talk about this more in depth when we get there. The first stage of reinflation, he looks like Sam
from Trick or Treat
when he takes his bag off. So I was like, oh, that, and then it went way. It should have more like.
I wish
xenomorph.
That they could have looked forward because Sam's facial design, I think, would serve Pumpkinhead very well.
Agreed. Yeah, this is very xenomorphy. It's extremely.
I said, hang on, what did I write? I wrote, it's like a xenomorph meets. Oh yeah, it was like a xenomorph meets the reveal in Nightmare Before Christmas of Jack Skellington.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Anyway, we got some flame credits. We get good old Lance Henriksen's name in the credits, which very exciting anytime you see that.
Yeah.
I'm also going to put this marker down here. He's the villain in an incredibly fun action movie called Stone Cold that stars flash in the pan NFL player Brian Bosworth. That is 100% going to be an episode on this podcast. At some point, I'm going to figure out how to do a theme month that's the action schlock of the early 90s Trip has recently discovered, and that is going to be a theme.
And it's not Steve Austin? It's called Stone Cold, and it's not him?
Right. This predates Steve Austin by 7 years, maybe 6 years, 7 years.
Okay.
So yeah, way before the Steve Austin character.
It reminded me of the opening credits of Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. I was like, it's just a static shot of the French Riviera. Like, come on.
Yeah, yeah. The other thing that was weird in these opening credits, I've never seen a screenplay credit that has with.
What it said?
So it's like so the way the screen credits is, if it was like Tripp and Andrew Leno, the ampersand would mean we wrote it together.
Mm-hmm.
The word AND means we both worked on it, but not as a team. And this was basically Tripp Leno with Andrew Leno. I've never seen that in a screenplay credit before.
I wonder if
usually with is like an intro for an actor to set them apart in a way. Like
with is the like either the lead like title, like the star power heaviest hitter like actor, or like introducing. I wonder if it's like a weird adjacent to a story credit thing.
Yeah, that's I tried to Google and couldn't come up with much. So if anyone out there has a better idea, let us know. I feel like with is also also used to set off like I'm going to just throw her out, even though I don't have an example of a movie, but like say you got like Angela Lansbury and she's playing like a small part, but she's got like an important but small part. Like
she's with,
yeah, with Angela, that kind of thing. It wouldn't be Angela Lansbury right now. Right now, you might get like a with Helen Mirren is a better example.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Like in Barbie.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, yeah. So we're going hunting with Papa, and spooky woods, pretty good spooky woods.
I didn't think we were going hunting. I thought we were being chased right away, weren't we?
Well, he's got a gun, so I thought the first guy wasn't being chased because he has the gun. I thought the first guy was like hustling to get home, but maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, I just assumed that they were all getting chased. I thought everyone was getting chased.
Okay, I think we only see Pumpkinhead kill the other guy, so I thought this guy was not, but maybe I'm totally wrong. It's 1957, by the way, in this opening sequence, so we jump forward about 30 years.
It just doesn't feel old enough. Like, I know because we wanted Lance Henriksen to be the one to see Pumpkinhead, but I'm just like, this feels like the to go back to Hocus Pocus. This feels like the opening act of Hocus Pocus, where it's like 1693.
Yes. Yeah, it fully feels like they have a car, so it's newer than that, but it feels real Dust Bowl.
The energy feels like it's like Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah. And I think a better version of this is probably like 1920 and then 1960. Like make them mid-40s and then just make the vehicles older. Or you would lose the extreme sports angle, which I think is a real they are filling some time with motorcycle or dirt.
But I also think that like I don't need Lance Henriksen to have seen Pumpkinhead. I think Lance Henriksen's grandfather saw Pumpkinhead, and he's the only one who ever believed his grandfather's stories.
Yeah. Or he doesn't even believe the stories. It's just that, like, I've heard this story.
Well, I think everyone's heard the story, so it's like a way to set it apart. Like, my grandfather saw him, whatever. I also feel like, I can't remember what movie did this, but, like, maybe it was one of the Leprechauns, but, like, I think an opening sequence of, like, flipping the pages of, like, a witchy book. And
that's almost certainly in one of the Leprechauns.
And the witch is like, and Pumpkinhead came.
Yeah. A real bony hand turning.
Yeah, exactly. Like a gnarled, withered, like branch
and
hand.
And there's a cauldron like bubbling in the hearth behind it.
Mm-hmm. Like it could feel like a spooky Yule log.
Sure. Yeah.
Because like I'd rather watch that for 3 fucking minutes as I read actors' names than just look at a flame.
Yeah. You have someone do a oh man, I'm bad with names today, man. Edward Scissorhands.
Winona Ryder.
Yeah, have someone do Winona Ryder old lady voice and just be like, there was a Pumpkinhead who enacted the vengeance of the people.
Because then you could tell the story of Pumpkinhead when he was alive and be like, all the townsfolk feared him because he looked weird.
Yeah.
Which just was a real thing in olden times.
Yeah. Absolutely. They were like, oh, this person had some sort of mild facial deformity, so everyone assumed they were a witch and then eventually stoned them in the town square, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say there were 3 sequels to this, and Lance Henriksen, not in part 2, but is in parts 3 and 4 as this same character, which I find kind of insane.
Well, it does feel as though, like, he doesn't need to come back for the second sequel, but by the time the third and fourth, and it's like the 2000s, and like people aren't exactly like beating down Lance Henriksen's door, he's like, eh.
Oh, you would be extremely incorrect. Lance Henriksen has been in 17 movies since 2020.
Are you serious?
Yes, he's one of those old dudes who just constantly works.
Well, his face reminds me of
Sorry, movies, TV, video games, all combined.
Oh, okay, that's a very different. Not to knock, but like
no, but most of it is movies. It's at least 13 movies.
Okay, his face reminds me of both Bill in Kill Bill and the man who plays the wise guide role in Sucker Punch, whose name is fully escaping me at the moment.
It is 13 movies, 5 TV episodes, and a video game since 2020. Lance is working.
Apparently.
Now, is he doing like 4 scenes? Probably, but he is in a lot of these movies.
Yeah.
Now, are any of them Stone Cold too? No, and that is a tragedy.
Are any of them from the asylum? Probably.
Almost certainly. At least if they're not the actual asylum.
I'm gonna guess
level.
3 of them are asylum pictures.
But it's not like Corbin Burnson, who did the Christian Pivot. Like Corbin Burnson is in this many movies too, but they're all these weird, very cheap Christian movies. So I don't know if they're Christian and cheap, but Lance's are certainly cheap.
I can't imagine Lance is doing the Christian cheap movies.
Hey, you never know what hooks people. So we jump forward in time. We see Pumpkinhead enacting some vengeance. The family's like hiding out. The guys.
They're kind of teasing the mystery that Pumpkinhead comes after someone specific. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, and then the family won't let him in. The guys, we hear the guy die. The big problem I have with this movie, and it's like kind of a creature feature and kind of a slasher movie, but the kills are boring for the most part.
They are. I will say there's only like 30% shade in this comment. This movie feels like a bunch of VFX people got together and were like, we should make our own movie. It just feels like that.
There's something very similar in the modern era, and actually, now that I'm saying this out loud, Lance Henriksen might also be in this movie, so I might have to check this. But when they made the Thing remake, there was like a really cool bunch of special effects. They made practicals and stuff.
Oh, I remember. I've seen this video of here's the test of the thing on the helicopter, and these practicals look amazing. And they're like, now watch what we did to it.
Yeah. I would truly forget your Snyder cuts or whatever. I would love to see the original, sloppy, not finished effects version of this, because it is excellent looking in all the behind the scenes stuff. And I can only think Lance Henriksen is in this other movie. I just checked. That's very funny. So anyway, all those effects folks who had done these cool effects for the Thing and didn't get to use them because they CGI'd over them all, they were basically like, you just want to make our own movie? And so they made this movie that's like a cheap version of the Thing called Harbinger Down, that has a lot. Now, are they exactly the same alien prop or the Thing props? Probably not, for a bunch of reasons, but it's like, well, we got this mold, and if we just do a little more, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's like, legally distinct from, but similar to real creatures designs. And it's like a kind of slapdash movie where it's like, hey, we have some cool effects. We're just kind of stringing a movie around them. So it's worth it from that perspective, if only you're one of the two of us who is like, I want to see what those effects really look like.
Although there are a lot of dum-dums on the internet that think the CGI stuff looks better.
Yeah, I mean,
like in the garbage remake of Nightmare on Elm Street from like 20 years ago or whatever, they did the
one with Jackie Earle Haley.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So the original had the great sequence where like it was a wall made of spandex, but you didn't know that, so Freddy could like push his face through, and it looked amazing. And then in the remake, they like did this CGI bullshit where he like glooped out of the wall. And like the number of people that are like, the original looks bad, the new one looks better. I'm like, you're just wrong. I generally don't like to be like that, but like that opinion is wrong.
I'm not like a full CGI as the devil person. I think most of the time, I think pretty much any big movie you watch these days has a bunch of CGI stuff in it you don't even recognize.
Yeah, it's best when it augments, I find.
And beyond that, I think it's best when someone takes care and starts out from the beginning and like designs a thing and executes a thing in much the same way that they would do with a practical effect, where you're sort of considering the limitations of what you have, as opposed to being like, oh, I can do anything because it's computers. It's like, well, no, because there's like a limit to what we can take care of that looks good. So I think that's a big part of it to me.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, also starring Lance Henriksen, creature feature there. But I think it's a good point that what you say is like, this is largely, effects driven with like exactly enough story to hang around it. Lance is the only good actor in this movie. Everybody else is like,
The kid's not bad.
local talent. Actually, you're right. The little kid is good. I should.
I was very bummed that I was like, we didn't get more of him.
Yeah, the kid and what's crazy is the two of them have such a sweet relationship.
It felt like in Big when I was like, you don't need to show me how sad he is alone in his apartment. Like, you don't need to build up this much how good of a father he is, because like, you don't often in cinema see a father and a young son bonding, just because the relationship tends to read as like feminine and men won't be feminine. So like they just generally will just put a daughter in there, because then neckbeards will be like, oh, that makes sense why he would be mad, was opposed like for some reason having a young son like it doesn't click. Like that was a whole thing there's a video game, BioShock Infinite, where the main character was originally going to be a 6-year-old boy, like he's not the main character, the one you have to like do the escort mission for the whole game. And they were like, no, let's make it a girl, but now we have to make them older. So if it's a boy, it has to be young to be in peril. If it's a girl, it has to be older to be in peril. It's like this whole nonsense we have.
I mean, it's society is dumb. I'm bad. I don't know what you want me to say. I can't defend.
We are dumb and bad. Because I was like, oh, this is like very lovely and refreshing to see that they have this like very friendly, loving relationship.
Yeah. And like, this is 88, 89?
In ballpark.
I think. So, not to keep referencing Stone Cold this whole podcast, I promise I won't keep doing that, but that movie is in 91, and Lance Henriksen is like fully insane. Like behind the making of that movie, he was like a lunatic. And this is just a few years before it, and he's like very clearly worked his ass off with this kid to have this relationship be good and real and sweet. It's shocking how nice this is, and he's a single dad, and the mom died. Like it's like all this is great. That like this segment of the movie works tremendously, and then it like goes away from this, goes to a lot of the kids. The kids all suck, or teens, not kids, or 20 somethings, whatever they are supposed to be, and that's rough. And then so it's like it's almost really good.
Like frankly, I wish you would just make a movie about this father and son trying their best.
Yeah. Or like you can do the Pumpkinhead thing, but like I don't know, give me more Zombie Kid or something.
Yeah, we got to do something.
Yeah.
Well, then I guess you're just doing Pet Cemetery. So you're pitching Pet Cemetery. I'm pitching.
No.
What's the Will Smith movie with his kid from?
You're pitching 7 pounds.
I'm pitching 7.
No, Happiness. Pursuit of Happiness.
I'm pitching Pursuit. I thought it was 7 pounds. Well, I'm pitching Pursuit of Happiness. You're pitching Pet Cemetery.
Yeah. No, it doesn't need to be an actual zombie kid. It could just be like where the kid, like the best scene of the movie where the kid, he's dead and then talks to him for a second in Lance's head. Like I would have been fine with more of those.
Yeah.
But also I want to point out here, so Lance Henriksen's a farmer, and he's, farming whatever he's farming, and he, goes to get his son and is like, oh, come on, we got to go, take the vegetables to the market or whatever. And Lance is shirtless here, 48 years old in 1988, like a whiskey and cigarettes, 48 years old. This is an impressive looking guy. Yeah. I got to say.
It's pretty good.
There's no creatine, HGH, horse hormones pumping through this man.
No injections.
Yeah. But he is like, all right, come in, wash up. I have to point this scene out in great detail because it's insane to me. So he's like, come on. And he like takes the kid inside and he starts washing his hands. This is like really tender thing that they're doing. And it's a really sweet scene. And like that he's doing this for his son is really nice. But then he says, Grandma would wash my hands. Her skin was like tissue paper. It felt so good. And I was like,
tissue paper?
I've held hands with old folks, and oftentimes their skin does feel really thin, and like I could see the description of tissue paper being like very accurate for our grandparents. Their hands, the skin was very papery, and like I've heard that before, but like I don't think of it as like particularly pleasant.
Well, I think
it's not unpleasant.
Well, I think there are some older people that just have like it's thin, but it's a very soft hand. I wouldn't describe those people as having like tissue. Like there's got to be a word for it.
Yeah. Okay. Because all the what I have experienced, like holding the hand of an older person whose skin feels papery, like thin, your skin literally thins. That's what happens when you get older, and it's like I don't think it's unpleasant to hold that person's hand, but he is like acting like
maybe like silk, like a thin.
Yeah, silk would be the way I would say instead of tissue
I guess
paper.
Either way, it's not weird. It's kind of weird, but
yeah, I literally had to pause the movie and be like, what did he say? And back it up again. It's like, it felt so good. It did?
Yeah, I wouldn't describe that as tissue paper if it felt good.
Yeah. So we cut to the teens.
Some irresponsible teens.
Are they teens or are they 20-somethings?
I don't know what they're supposed to be.
They're renting a cabin, so I guess they're supposed to be 20-somethings.
Sure, I guess.
Because teens don't rent a cabin. What insane person would rent a cabin?
Can't like parents rent it for them?
Yeah,
like, wasn't senior week a thing like that?
To be college students. Yeah, I guess. I felt like they were college students. Whatever. But we have a couple cars. We're sort of caravanning, and this one dude starts to do a Stallone impression that I think is worse than our very bad Sylvester Stallone's impression. It's truly mind-boggling that this is in the movie.
Yeah, not good. The other thing that
it's well sub. Oh, Adrian, what are you doing? It's like mind-boggling that's in the movie.
I also like normally in this kind of movie, all of the teens are awful.
Yes.
Or there's two nice teens and they survive till the end. Maybe they die at the end, but they last till the end. And this movie does neither of those things. And it's strange.
This movie lets the worst teen live the longest.
Well, not the longest, but pretty long.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. He doesn't survive. He's the last one to die, though.
Yeah, because I think...
Doesn't he die at the very end?
He does, but does the other boy die?
I thought there are two survivors, and I thought he dies last. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
Maybe
it's
I'm wrong.
Leather Jacket, the girl, and then there's another guy, and he lives, I think.
Okay, I thought the guy who did the killing...
Leather Jacket.
The one that we're talking about. Yeah, I thought he died.
He does die.
Did he not die? Okay.
But then there's...
My memory is he dies.
But then there's two
like
left.
There's blonde guy and girl both live.
I couldn't remember if he lived too.
Yeah, I think he does. Very good characters descriptions in this movie and names. They are basically faceless.
I wrote some names down, but like, God damn. But it's just so strange that like the aggressive Leather Jacket murderer isn't the first one killed. In every other movie that I've seen like this, he's the first to die.
So I think this, but buckle up, folks, because we're getting on the roller coaster here. But like,
click, click, click.
This movie actually does try to do something really interesting, which is to sort of ruminate on the power of grief and also the way that vengeance doesn't actually fulfill you, despite the fact that you want it to, which I think is a very interesting idea.
I agree.
It's a really interesting thing to do in any movie, but particularly in a movie like this, where you're like, all right, it's just kind of a dumb slasher, and it's like, well, yeah, but also we're doing this like really interesting topic. Does the movie do a good job of it? No, not really.
And I can't imagine the sequels do it.
Oh, I bet that's thrown right in the trash. But Lance Henriksen is like trying to bring that. Like, I could see where in reading the script he was like, oh, this is interesting. I want to, like, this is a thing I get to do that I maybe don't normally get to do in the stuff I play. So I think there's a way that it's like, oh, this guy lives so long to watch all of his friends die, because that's the torture, is like he gets to watch them all get picked off one by one. But this actor is not good enough to carry that out.
No.
So it's like the movie wants to do this and the person can't carry the load.
Frankly, I think using what you're describing, I don't really want that to be for Leather Jacket. I would rather that be for Lance Henriksen.
Well, Lance Henriksen is getting it, but I'm saying like Lance Henriksen is getting the emptiness of vengeance, and this guy is getting like, oh, the worst torture is that not only am I going to die, but I'm going to watch all my friends die first.
I guess. I don't know. That doesn't seem super.
That's what I was trying to say, so I wanted to clarify.
It would need to be clearer, but I think the idea that like Lance Henriksen's like grief-stricken, like full on Scarlet Witch, I'm gonna get revenge, and then Pumpkinhead kills the one who killed his son. He's like, I got my revenge, and then Pumpkinhead just keeps going. And then he's like,
oh, that's a really interesting idea too.
And he's like, well, wait a minute, hang on, that's not
And Pumpkinhead's like, well, they're all at
these
fault.
3 did the bad thing, and those 3 didn't.
Yeah. Really, just the one did the bad thing. The other 2, the guy does tell them all to leave.
Yeah. So Leatherjacket, obviously the worst. His girlfriend's pretty complicit, although she's clearly an abuse victim. So like, there's wiggle room.
Yeah. Hard to get too mad about that.
There's wiggle room.
Because the other 2 get to the cabin and then immediately are like, where's the phone? We're calling for help. That's why we came here.
That's true.
So I want to give them a little bit of an
That's fair. There is that.
Because it's 1988. There is no other option.
Yeah, this is the choice. There's the phone plugs into the wall, and that's it.
Yeah. So it's like one kid stays, the other 2 try to go get help.
Because Lance Henriksen keeps going, they hit him and left him for dead. And I was like, they didn't, though.
Yeah, like the kid definitely stayed there. I do have a quick. We should just go through this instead of.
I mean, we're gonna get there in 3 seconds. We're about to kill this kid.
But I just the dude not getting up and being like waving his arms like help help when he sees the truck was insane.
And then not saying any words.
No.
He just like half waves as if like you saw a friend across the bar that you don't know if you actually know them.
Yeah.
Is the wave he gave. And there were no words of like
half-hearted.
There was an accident, something happened. He just sits there quietly. And when Lance Henriksen picks up his dead kid, the guy's like, it was an accident. We didn't know. And I was like, you need to come in cooler.
I actually think the kid's not dead yet.
Well, I mean, he's not doing great.
He's basically dead, but I think he's not dead yet at this point. It's a real Monty Python distinction.
I know he has 2 hit points left, but like
he does have 2 hit points, and it's like poison damage, so they're like going down.
His health bar is blinking and yelling at you as a video game player to take a fucking potion.
Yeah, exactly. You start smashing barrels looking for food inside.
Swinging a blade through the grass to try and find anything.
Yes. Yeah. So, all right. Lance Henriksen and his son, they take the vegetables to the store that they own. They stock up the vegetables.
It's a cute
like a
little
little general store.
You could pretty much set this little montage to that Matilda pancake song.
Sure, yeah.
On the way. Like, you could
On my way, yeah.
You could fully... Is that what it's called?
On My Way is the name of the song.
On My Way, yeah.
That's what the guy is saying that sounds like On My Way.
Yeah. You could fully set this like montage of getting the store ready to that song in like a much different movie.
Excuse me, it's Send Me On My Way. I don't save the tweets. That's Send Me On My Way. No, you could absolutely somebody could cut that together of like,
honestly,
I would like to reach out my
if this movie was more popular, this would have gotten one of those twisted edits, like The Jaws is a romantic comedy.
Oh, sure.
Mary Poppins is a horror movie. Like, this movie would have fully gotten one of those.
Yeah. So they're stocking the veggies, and then the kid is outside with the family dog.
Who was in Gremlins?
That's the dog is from Gremlins. Yes, I have that written down too. Well-known dog actor. So these 20-somethings college kids pull up, and is it Leatherjacket who does this? Where he's like, "What a dumb looking."
Yeah,
kid.
immediately is like insulting
so
an actual child.
And it's like the kid has big, thick Coke bottle glasses. Which, hey, if you're characterizing a kid for a movie and you're like you're the costume design and you want this kid to be sympathetic, give him some big old spectacles, baby. And he, and this kid is like just sitting there petting his dog, and they're like, "Oh, what a dumb looking! You got thick enough glasses there, yes, do not." Hey,
yeah, I was like, why are any of you friends with him?
Yeah, and he also seems 4 years older than everyone else, which is not that weird.
I think they just might be casting. I don't think that's intentional.
Yeah, well, it made me think of like. In my head canon, again, this movie is not from the movie. They're all college students, and he's like a townie, and the girl like. He started hitting on the girl, and he like negged her enough that she was like, "Oh, you're right, I am a dumb 19-year-old." And he's like, "Yeah, you got to go home with somebody like me who got a job at the factory."
The Sparks factory.
Yeah, I make sparks for a living. What do you do, college toots? And that's the headcanon I have. So we pull up, and like. We're getting supplies for our cabin weekend, which is a funny thing that always happens in these movies. Like any cabin in the woodsy movie, they're always like, "Oh, we got to pull up for supplies," and it's like, "Why don't you buy the snacks before you left?" Like they're always buying beer.
We're stopping
the store
at
right
the.
before.
Anytime my boyfriend and I go anywhere, we go to the Wawa half a mile from our house to get the snacks and the food in order to continue the trip. Like what?
But I'm saying that's exactly right for like a road trippy situation. I'm saying it's like you guys have rented a place for the weekend. You go to the grocery store and buy the food and the beer and whatever you want to do, like whatever you're drinking, beer generically for whatever you're drinking, alcohol. And they're always like, they go to this guy, Lance Henriksen store, and like, you got any beer? And the guy, and you got any alcohol? And he's like, no beer. And I'm like, well, then do you not have beer? That's a bad weekend.
Yeah. It's always, but also it always happens. They're like, let's stop 2 miles from where we're going. And you're like, well, hang on, get there first.
Sure.
Because they explicitly say, oh, we're just a few miles from the cabin. Let's stop here for some stuff real quick. And then Leather Jacket's like, wait, well, I'm going to pull out the what, are they dirt bikes?
Dirt bike. Yeah.
Like, I'm going to pull out my dirt bike and start riding. And I'm like, you are apparently maybe 10 minutes from your destination?
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah. So, and then another guy pulls out a dirt bike and they start doing like dirt bike jumps on these hills.
Calm down, Brink.
Meanwhile, a pickup truck pulls up and out comes George Buck Flower, who I think has been in the most
movies ever.
The most appearances. I think he has the most appearances on our podcast. I'm going to rattle this off for you. Back to the Future 1 and 2, They Live, Mac and Me, Escape from New York, and The Fog. He's been in 6 movies we covered.
What was he in Back to the Future?
He's the bum sleeping on the bench that gets woken up by Marty McFly and then woken up by Doc Brown.
Okay.
He plays a lot of...
apparently that's his... I read online that was his type.
Yeah. I think he also plays a guy sleeping on a bench in Mac and Me. It's been a long time.
I don't remember that there were any men sleeping on benches in that movie. It's kind of
it feels like
a suburban town.
Okay. I was picturing like the shootout at the McDonald's having a George Buck Flowers sleeping on a bench.
Was there a shootout? I remember there was a dance.
You don't remember the shootout at the McDonald's?
There's a dance scene at the McDonald's.
Killed. Remember I showed you the alternate edit? It's a real scene they shot for the movie. It's not like a fan thing. The kid in the wheelchair gets shot by the police and revived by the Mack family.
Oh, right.
Version of the movie. There's like a genuine police shootout in that.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
Wild.
But in other news, one of his children is played by
Mayim Bialik.
Jeopardy host Mayim Bialik. And I didn't catch it at the time, but I went back and looked, and it's definitely recognizably her.
Oh, yeah. Is she the official host of Jeopardy now?
There are 2 hosts of Jeopardy. She is one of them.
They just decided to do 2? Because I remember for a while, they're like, we're going to pick one. And they're like, we're just going to do 2.
One of them hosts like specialty stuff in primetime games, and the other one hosts like the regular syndicated Jeopardy.
Okay.
I don't know the breakdown.
But one of them is what's his face?
Ken Jenner.
Thank you. I was like, Kris Jenner. I was like, that's not correct.
Nope. So we get some real extended dirt bike time fill as we get the Pumpkinhead origin story and a song.
It's like a rhyme.
Like a nursery.
It's like a nursery rhyme more than a song.
Like a jump rope. 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you kind of thing. But yeah, it is a lot of back and forth with the
destitute, dirty children.
Oh yes, but also just like the dirt bikes is like they're jumping. It's all stunt people doing this, and the dog gets closer and closer to the dirt bikes. I'm like, oh okay, they kill the dog. I had no idea what this movie is like.
You didn't even
no idea. So
you didn't know it was going to go full Pet Cemetery.
Yeah, so the kid goes, well, I thought it was going to go Pet Cemetery. I thought they was going to kill the dog, and I thought it was going to be like a John Wicky, okay, you killed my dog, I'm going to kill you teenagers.
Well, Lance Henriksen also left at this point. He had to go back to the house and get something for
George Buck Flower. They needed like
chicken
grain
feed
or some sort of chicken feed, yeah. So the kid goes wandering across and then gets absolutely smashed by a dirt bike. I could
The
not
first
believe
one
it.
misses him. Also,
yes.
The dog runs in and is like weaving through the dirt bikes and they don't stop, which like seems wildly unsafe to begin with. Even if you don't worry about killing a dog, like you will get hurt.
Yeah.
And then just fully beefs this kid.
Yeah. Just absolutely kills him.
And Leather Jacket's like, hey, I can't... They'll fry me. I've been drinking. And I was like, okay, so you broke the law and killed a kid. You should be punished.
Yes.
You should be very much punished, sir.
Also, he's on probation.
Well, we don't know that yet.
Thing that he did.
We don't know that yet. We find out later he had an accident, probably while drinking, a few nights ago and hit a girl and is on probation. And it's like, hey, buddy, seems to me like you have systemic issues. You have a pointed behavior of issues that you need to fix.
stop driving at minimum, you wanker.
Yeah. Because, like, if this is my friend, quote unquote, I'm like, okay, then you can walk home. We're leaving you here, and you can hitchhike home. And if the Pumpkinhead gets you, tough tits.
Yeah, well, they don't even know about the Pumpkinhead, so it's fine.
Yeah.
A world in which they go home and Pumpkinhead takes Manhattan, so to speak, I would also be very...
Goes after... He kills Leather Jacket and then goes after them.
Yeah, and so Pumpkinhead's like... knocking on their apartment door, pizza's here.
It was just a scene in Killer Clowns.
Yeah, basically. Also, I love the design of the set for this little store.
I do too.
It's so charming.
The sun
by the door
looks like it's been painted by the kid, and it just like breaks my heart.
Absolutely. Yeah, but that is very cute. But I also love right by the front door is a little shelf that says tourist information, also handwritten on the wall. And it's very clearly like, I don't know, a pamphlet for dirt or something. I don't know what the tourist attractions are here.
Maybe there's like a world's largest something.
Sure. I just love the idea of Lance Henriksen being like, well, you got to support the community. Here's a pamphlet for Jim's dirt. So the main group leaves, then the other two, there's three left, and the one guy who's the heart of this group is like, I'll stay with the kid, you guys go get help.
Well, no, four. So Leather Jacket and his girlfriend leave, and then the other four, the other two couples stay behind, because that's how these movies operate.
And then three of them leave, just one guy there. Who, as we said before, Lance Henriksen comes back, his son is dying on the side of this hill, and they don't like freak out to try to tell him.
He doesn't like wave his hand. He doesn't sprint over to the truck, like nothing.
Yeah,
he lets him walk inside the general store. He fully lets him walk inside the store, and then come back out
Lance
and be like,
is
"Oh, hey,
calling
man."
out his kid's name and looking for him.
Wild. Which maybe that was supposed to show he was a shitty person. I don't know.
Maybe it's weak to me. Also, this is the point at which I was reading information about Lance Henriksen to talk about this movie. He taught himself how to read at age 30.
Lance Henriksen?
Yes! He didn't know how to read. He was in like a service, I don't know if it was Merchant Marines or whatever, I didn't write it down. And he auditioned for a play, and he got the part. And so in order to learn the part, he had a friend like read all the lines with him into a tape recorder, and he learned the play and then taught himself to read, and he learned every part in the play.
Wow. That's fascinating.
Yeah, bonkers. But back to the movie's plot, that's been the Lance Henriksen factual 30 seconds. Why does, you mentioned this kind of before already, but why does every group of friends in these movies have a secret murderer in it?
I don't know. They're either all a murderer, like they all did it together, or like one of them is. And like,
right.
I gotta be honest, I love my friends. I can't think of a single one of them that if I found out they were like a murderer person who was on probation for a lot of drinking and in doing so killed a kid, there's not one friend that I'm like, yeah, you're outside. There's the exit.
I might still visit them in prison.
Well, yeah.
I might provide that kind of support, but it's
like you get out of this cabin.
Yeah, I'm not on your team. I'm not helping you cover this up. I've said this many times. Don't call me if you need help hiding a body. I don't want the burden. I cannot handle it.
My boyfriend and I did say while we were watching Yellow Jackets that or it was Yellow Jackets and Love and Death, that Candy Montgomery show with Elizabeth Olsen. We were like, if either of us does ever kill someone, do not tell the other person, because you have plausible deniability if the police ever question you.
Yeah.
And we're like, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, and also I don't want to help you hide the body. It's too much to bear.
Well, I mean, that's different.
I'm not going to handle it well. I'm crack under the pressure. I'm not capable. I'm just telling you, don't trust me.
Didn't we have this conversation already?
Yeah, we've had it on the podcast multiple times because I've said it to friends of mine, and they're like, well, I know where I stay with you. And I was like, yeah, you do. Everyone stands in the same place. It's just, I'm not helping you with that. I cannot do it. I don't possess the ability. So Lance delivers the feed to Buckflower, and is it? Have I been saying Joe Buckflower?
You have.
It's not Joe Buckflower. It's George Buckflower. Joe Buck is the football announcer. I've been screwing that up repeatedly. It's George, quotes, Buckflower. So he delivers the feed, and soon will be delivering vengeance.
And Leather Jacket bludgeons his friend with a log.
Yes, he hits him square in the temple with a piece of wood.
I thought he would have killed him.
I did too. It was weird that he didn't die. Did you recognize the boy who helps Lance Henriksen get the witch information here?
No, but he seemed a little...
Well, that's interesting. Andrew's limping his wrist, by the way.
Ding.
Audio medium. Well, we watched another movie in which he played a person whose sexual identity played a part.
What?
He was the killer in, Silent Night, Deadly Night 5? Is that what it was?
The toys?
Mickey Rooney was... Yeah, he's Pino.
Oh, wild.
Yeah,
He doesn't have any junk, right? Wasn't that it? He like pulls his pants down.
Isn't he a robot?
Yeah, he pulls his pants down and he's like got no junk.
Yeah. It's like, I'm not a real boy.
Oh, and then he starts like groping her.
Yeah. It's an insane movie. It's a bonkers movie. Was it Silent Night, Deadly Night? Was that the right franchise?
I think so.
It is something part 5.
I'm pretty sure it's a Silent Night.
Okay.
Gross.
Yeah, that's Pino. It is gross. So he goes to Lance Henriksen and he's like, look, I know what you were looking for, the old witch.
Oh, because Lance Henriksen goes to the Appalachian like dirt farm house.
Yeah, the dirt farm.
Are they in Appalachia? Is it set? It feels Appalachian, and I don't know why.
It does feel like Appalachia, but I don't know that it's ever specified where this takes place.
He's like, hey, I need to find the old woods witch. And they're like, I don't know what you're talking about, sir. Get out.
And Pino's like, I know where the witch is. Got any cash?
Oh, that's what I was saying. Leather Jacket is like, I'm not going to jail for an accident. I'm like, sounds like it's been a few accidents, my buddy. My brother in Christ.
Exactly.
Pretty sure it's been more than one.
It's not an accident. The accident was hitting the kid. The crime was covering up and leaving the
it's an
scene.
accident when you do it once. If you also did this 3 nights ago,
That's fair.
it's not an accident anymore.
That's fair.
But yeah, Lance keeps saying they left him. They like left his kid. I'm like, I can't. They didn't do as much as they could have, but they didn't leave him.
Right. It's like, I don't know that they didn't do as much as they could have because 2 of them try to go call for help. There's not a lot of options.
He also could have sprinted over to him as soon as he saw his truck. Like,
yeah, that's fair.
I'm not saying that there's like
fair.
It would have saved his life, but like, it would have. I mean, it could have saved the guy's life.
Right. Yeah, it might have. It might have.
But so they, for some reason, they call the bog witch Haggis, and I was like, she should have an accent then.
I couldn't stop laughing at the fact that she's named Haggis. Like, what the hell? It's a food. That's a Scottish food. What are we doing here?
This is the old witch calzone. Like,
yeah, exactly.
What?
It's an old witch meatloaf.
Yeah, like, what are we doing? But she looks like a cross between Henrietta from Evil Dead 2 and Texas Chainsaw Grandpa.
I also think she looks a little bit like the old crone in Sam Raimi.
Dragon Hell. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
I love her. She's great.
Incredible makeup. Yeah, it rules. This is so good.
I would love to see like the behind the scenes of them putting it on her and like watching her see herself in the mirror and be like, oh, I get it now. Here's who I am.
Yeah.
Here's the voice. Here's the me.
For sure. Yeah, Lance brings the dead boy in and she's like, raising the dead ain't in my power. And he's like, no, I want vengeance.
I want Pumpkinhead.
Yeah. And she's like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah. Like, all right.
Well, she makes him say it. He's like, I saw him. I saw it when I was younger. I need it.
But her way of being like, later in the movie when Lance is like, oh, this is bad, stop it. She's like, I warned you. And I'm like, did you though? Because you just do like the thing when someone's clicking through the terms and conditions and it's like, accept and continue. And they're like, we know you didn't read it. You at least have to scroll.
You have to scroll to the bottom.
You have to scroll list. Yeah. And it's like, you did the bare minimum. I feel like.
Because you said there's a terrible price and you didn't say what the price was.
Right. Saying you will literally experience all of these deaths through the eyes of Pumpkinhead is a little different.
Yeah.
It's like, and again, to my point earlier, like, that's a cool thing for a movie like this to be like, oh, you wanted no blood on your hands, but you wanted vengeance. Well, guess what? There's no way to do that. You're still going to
Well, you don't have blood on your hands, but you have to watch it.
Right. You have a stain on your soul then, I suppose.
Yeah.
Something like that. Like, that's cool. I like that.
He gets a video game mission.
Yes, side.
Like I can fully see the box appear on screen. It's like, you have a shovel. Bog Witch gave you a shovel.
Yeah.
And shovels all caps.
Arrow pointing to the graveyard.
Yeah, you could follow the plumb bob.
Actually, it would be like little ghostly pumpkins that marked the path. You were like running through them.
Yes. Oh my god. Because she's like, you have to go to the graveyard, the graveyard for people that no one wanted in society. And I'm like, oh, so I'm thinking non-white people, non-straight people, non-Christian people.
Yeah.
Feels about right. The disabled.
People with, I was going to say people with any sort of disability. Also, this graveyard is insane. It looks cool as hell.
It's also,
it's like
3 yards from her house? She makes it sound like he has to, like, go there.
Yeah, it's like, I thought this man was climbing a mountain, like, in Pet Cemetery. Like, he's going to have
to... It's like, no, go in my backyard and dig up my hydrangeas.
But it's like, there's all this fog, and there's all these, like, rotted out pumpkins, and then in the middle of it is this column of dirt that's, like, 6 feet high, and I was like, what is that thing? I've never seen that in my life.
Well, especially because he goes, which grave is it? And she goes, you'll know. And I'm like, okay.
You'll know.
Yes, you'll know, but because it's the only grave, and it's 6 feet in the air in the middle of the pumpkin patch.
Well, you see, it's like a vertical tube. You ever play Super Mario Brothers? It's kind of like
it looks like Zordon's tube.
You climb up there, you'll dig them up, and then it'll be like root, 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 and you'll have the pumpkin head.
Also, all the gross pumpkins look like alien and gremlin eggs.
They do.
So he digs up Pumpkinhead, who looks like kind of a young child, which I thought would be a very interesting twist.
Yeah.
And to quote the mummy, he's still juicy.
He is still juicy. So Lance takes him back to the witch, who, by the way, told him to leave the dead kid with her, and that's never explained, other than just, like, plot purposes of, like, Lance isn't carrying the dead kid all over the place.
Yeah, well, I guess it's because she was like, you can leave him because you're just going to my backyard.
Or I like the idea of your video game thing of, like, you don't have enough room in your inventory.
Your inventory's too full. The shovel takes up all of the space in your inventory.
Shovel. Yeah, and then when you get Pumpkinhead, you just drop it there. So it's like, well, you've got to leave the boy with me, and then you get Pumpkinhead, and then after you do Pumpkinhead, you have to go back and get the shovel and bring it back to me, because I need it still.
Oh my god.
It's my only shovel I gotta put in my rutabagas.
So we cut back to
It's the only way I can crush Eye of Newt.
Seems like a very inefficient way to do that, ma'am.
I have a big flat stone, and I put the newt eyes on it, and then I smash them with the shovel.
So, we cut back to the teens.
One more shovel bit!
I was waiting for it.
I know, I didn't have one. I was desperately trying to think of one, and I couldn't.
So, the two nice teens are locked in the closet by way of like a 2x4 against the door, and Tracy, I think is her name.
Yes,
that's right. She goes, if we get out of here, Leather Jacket's gonna carry his balls home in a knapsack. And then the guy who's in there with her is like, whoa, remind me never to piss you off. And I'm like, are you not also mad?
Yeah, right.
Is there some weird bro code that like
this is just bros being bros,
like,
you know?
No, I'm kicking down this door and I am eating your face.
Sometimes you commit a murder and then you cover it up and you hit your friend in the head with a log. It's just bro code.
Yeah. I'm like, you were the one that was hit on the head. Shouldn't you be the most mad?
Right. You have a concussion. Maybe that's what it is.
There it is.
He needs to be put in the concussion protocol so they can examine him better. Also, we didn't talk about the reanimation of Pumpkinhead with the witchy.
Well, that happens next.
Oh, okay. But this is incredibly cool.
It's so good. Except dead bodies don't bleed. She stabs the kid to get some blood, and I was like, dead bodies don't bleed.
Well, there's still blood in them.
Yeah, but it doesn't pump. There's nothing to pump the blood.
Isn't the kid's arm dangling down? I thought this was...
It doesn't look... It looks like he's flat on the bed, from my perspective.
You couldn't see it, but just off screen I was doing CPR. So it's like I cut him and then I was pumping it out.
She also cuts them both on the top of their hand, not the palm like you see in every other thing. And I was like, this is different.
Yeah, also an inconvenient place to have a cut, but different at least. Also, sometimes when I do this ritual, I like to flap one of their arm, to flap the other arm, so it's like I'm pumping it, like I'm always like, oh look at me, look, I'm pumping the blood, out it goes.
You sound like Adam Sandler doing a character.
I was trying to get to a Scottish witch. This is the best I got.
Okay. You can't think of the witch in Brave? Woodcarver!
I didn't want to go like full Merida. I thought our Scottish listeners would be highly offended.
I mean, they probably will be. But it feels almost on par with American Werewolf in London in terms of like reveal transformation things. Although Werewolf is a lot cooler because it's brighter and there's more of it.
And it's an alive character, so that he's like screaming as it happens, which I feel like really adds to it. The other thing I thought was cool in looking up some about the movie is obviously Stan Winston, one of the most famous special effects people of all time. If you don't know him, he did the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park. I mean, Terminator. Pretty much any great special effects movie.
Was he Death Becomes Her too? Or was that ILM?
One of the people on this, the guy in the suit, the Pumpkinhead suit, the actual physical performer was the guy who did the performance in the suit was the effects guy, and he won an Academy Award for Death Becomes Her.
Oh, okay, cool.
So I don't know if he spun his own studio off or that was Stan Winston or not, but that's
I would imagine he was part of Stan Winston's studio if they were.
Well, it's possible that he eventually spun off his own thing and had his own studio. I just don't know. But what I thought was really interesting on this is like a lot of times somebody who's famous for one thing and then ends up doing another job on the movie ends up de facto doing their old job. And Stan Winston very early in the process apparently went to his this is not like a word for word quote, of course, but he basically went to the team and was like, here's the designs, we worked on it, you guys do it, like I gotta make the movie, I got other shit to do. So he was like involved, of course, but not as hands-on with the actual creature, which I thought was interesting because you'd think he would be like, oh well, I know how to do this, so let me do it.
Yeah. And so Pumpkinhead is arisen. He looks kind of like, I guess this character looks like Pumpkinhead. That you've seen we watched Coraline together, right?
Yeah.
He looks like the other mother when she becomes her like spindly like robot spider form. And she's got those like haunches, shoulders.
Yeah. So he like revives and then starts going after the kids or the teens or the whatever the hell they are, the bad guys,
the 30-year-olds who are 18.
Yeah. There's kind of like an Evil Dead moment as
So apparently Pumpkinhead whispers that girl's name to bring her outside. I didn't hear that. Did you?
I didn't hear that either. No.
But Wikipedia says that.
Sort of thing. Oh, interesting. There was kind of like a kind of thing happening. So maybe if you have headphones on, it sounds like her name.
Maybe.
But there's kind of an Evil Dead here thing where like the woman gets revived with the cross, kind of like when Ash's girlfriend gets revived with the necklace.
Oh yeah, because she's like kind of catatonically walking.
Yeah.
And then the nice brother gets got first.
Shocked by this. I could not believe the first one to go was the most helpful of the bunch.
And then the next,
or at least if not the most helpful, the most responsibility taking of the bunch.
Yeah. It's like him and Tracy are the two that are like really doing stuff. And so the cross girl runs back to the house and Leather Jacket's like, we're going to go. And he grabs the gun and he and Blonde Boy go out. And he's like, if they even touch my brother, I'll kill them. And I'm like, that's pretty strong words for a man who can probably get charged with murder. Like,
absolutely.
I think at this point, the prosecutor could make a pretty strong case that like, this is probably murder, not manslaughter at this point, because you've had several choices and several chances.
Yeah. And this is the first time Lance like has pumpkin vision and like watches this murder happen. So it's like, oh shit, every time something happens, he's feeling it as well as seeing it.
It's again, very video game when like your character is linked to someone.
And Pumpkinhead then kills Maggie.
Well,
and
first
draws a cross on her.
Everyone's like, "Where's Steve? Where's Steve?" And she walks out and like fully just like flops into Steve's dead body. And I was like, "Found Steve."
Yeah. And I love that Pumpkinhead draws a cross on her forehead.
So like maybe this is like in line with why I have trouble watching Final Destination movies, but like it feels like this girl got it kind of got the assistant in Jurassic World treatment.
Yeah.
I was like, this girl didn't do anything wrong. She was traumatized by what happened into catatonia. Is that the word?
Catatonic state, I think, is what I would say, but you may be correct. I'm not sure.
Sure. And like, kind of gets this like very aggressive, like.
Sure. He gets a villain death.
Yeah, he like carves the cross into her forehead, and I was like, how does Pumpkinhead even know she likes a cross? Like, I know she has a necklace.
Well, I think she's wearing it, yeah.
But like, it's not like she's like, if she was like holding it and like saying the Lord's Prayer or something.
Yeah.
But he does that and then like walks her back to the cabin and like smushes her face against the glass.
Yeah, it's really gnarly.
And like, I thought, I wrote that, literally the exact word too, that I wrote. I thought it was going to be like, he's using her to lure them out. Like,
yes.
Like, I think it happens in like Jeepers Creepers, or no, it's one of the Friday the 13th where like he like hurts someone to try and lure someone out to like save their friend.
Yeah, I thought that he was puppeting her.
I did too for a second, which like also wild.
Like he like reached into her and I was like, holy shit. So at this point, 2 murders into the potential 6 total, right? Is it 6?
There's 6 of them, yeah.
3 couples. Lance is like,
well,
oh no.
3 murders in because the kid.
Well, I'm saying Lance has witnessed 2 murders.
Okay, yes.
As the Pumpkinhead is like, oh no, we have to stop this. So he goes and like demands over the witch. And it's like, come on, Lance. Like, I know this is a movie and whatever, but like,
she's a bog witch. Like, what do you think she's doing?
Yeah. You're cursed, man. That's you got to deal with the consequences.
So Leather Jacket tries to like offer himself up to Pumpkinhead, and Pumpkinhead steals his girlfriend. And I love her boots. It's got some real like they're white leather fringe boots. Very into this, and climbs her up like a telephone fucking pole and drops her onto a rock. Like,
yeah, this is the best death in the movie, and it's one I thought would be gnarlier, but isn't.
Yeah. But again, like, she's not. Why is it just feels strange that all these other people died before him, and it didn't feel like it was presented in a way to be traumatizing for Leather Jacket.
Right. Well, also, it's like, I don't think Leather Jacket, the character, is capable of feeling the traumatic experience that you and I are describing, which is, I think, a big part of this.
Well, kind of, because he's trying to sacrifice himself.
Yeah, I just mean he's an idiot.
Once he sees his brother and Cross Girl are dead, he's like, hey, I'm the one you want, just take me.
Yeah. I think Joel, by the way, is the name of the tough guy.
I like Leather Jacket.
I have that written here, just so we're being a little bit more helpful. Also, this is where we get a bunch of close-ups of Pumpkinhead, and he's doing a lot of drooling, which I don't really like.
Yeah, they like to do that.
It's too alien, but it's like one thing if the whole creature's goopy, which I think Pumpkinhead could be a little more. They basically slather these whole things in lubricant.
Yeah,
so
it's lube.
I could take a more
But they should have covered him in pumpkin guts. Like there should have been some goops of pumpkin guts hanging off him.
Yeah, but. He's drooling a lot, but it just makes him look like the xenomorph because the xenomorph's always drooling.
It does. He kind of looks like a rejected xenomorph.
He does. It looks like one of the Geiger sketches that they were like this, but a little more this, that, and that, and they were like, yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Even the way it walks is very xenomorphy.
Yeah, it is. Also, Pumpkinhead sounds like cicadas all the time, which is weird.
Yes, he does. Yeah. Oh, Kim, by the way, is the one we dropped from a tree.
Yes, I did write. I love Kim's white fringe leather boots. So
okay, so I got another character name for you there.
She's dead, Jim. Lance shows up and tries to kill Pumpkinhead, and so this is where I have some umbrage because I like if you're going to do an 86-minute movie for $3 million, very practical, and everything is tight. Play by your rules because. It is established that Pumpkinhead only kills those he is summoned for and anyone who gets directly in his way.
Yes.
That's what they say. The guy here is like, there's no one that can help you. Pumpkinhead's going to get you and anyone who stands in the way, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Then later, in like 20 minutes or so-ish, Pumpkinhead goes after one of the Dusty kids for no reason. Right. And it just drives me nuts.
My thought is like, Pumpkinhead's definition of in my way is just much wider than ours, but it is very weird in the movie because the kid isn't like attacking him. He's just kind of
the kid is in a separate building.
He was helping the kids, so I think that maybe is the reasoning.
I just like needed a little more clarity.
It's tenuous.
Because like
Agreed.
literally the person Pumpkinhead is summoned to kill is in the barn. This kid is in the house. There's separate buildings, and Pumpkinhead still goes into the house for some reason.
Yeah,
we'll get there.
Yeah, mostly so we can see Pumpkinhead in the house, I think.
Yeah. I thought Pumpkinhead was gonna shoot the leather jacket guy, and I was like, don't do that.
Yeah, Pumpkinhead not using a gun is the correct choice. I wish he never even picked it up, honestly.
Yeah. But he like kind of bayonets him with the end of the gun.
Oh, he does. Yeah, he does stab him.
I like that.
Yeah.
And then so
that's probably the best kill. Like being stabbed with a gun is probably the best kill.
Yeah. And this is where we kind of see that like Pumpkinhead is kind of a voodoo doll situation with Lance Henriksen.
Yeah.
What does he
hurt? You get hurt.
I don't remember how we learn it here, but he like does something with his hand and Pumpkinhead reacts. I know later he gets stabbed with the pitchfork, but at some point here there is a moment where like he does something that Pumpkinhead responds to. I just can't remember now.
I didn't write it down. I know exactly the scene you're talking about, but I didn't write down what it is that.
Yeah, it's like right after he stabs Leather Jacket. There's some weird like,
right.
I am you.
This is Pino's character's name is Bunt, which is insane. But this is where Bunt actually sneaks out of the house because he wants to see this beast
and save the teens.
Yeah. So he meets up with the teens. He takes them to a church ruins.
It's like he's like, I'll take you somewhere safe. It's the hollowed out shell of a burnt church. And I'm like, there's not even walls, buddy.
Right. I think the idea is like, consecrated ground. He can't come here. Maybe like, are we doing because we've seen some other religious imagery in this movie, so it's like, yeah.
It's weird that Pumpkinhead has weird reactions to crosses, but it is never once fucking explained.
No, yeah. Well, like this is why you need we only have 84 minutes in this movie and 4 of them are credits, so like you could probably bump 4 minutes in this movie and not be a problem. Show me Pumpkinhead as like beaten up by a pastor or something, or like maybe not physically beaten, but maybe like a Pumpkinhead comes to church and he's like a person with a physical, looks weird in some way, whatever that is. Weird is probably the wrong word to use there, but we're talking about a fictional character. But like Pumpkinhead is visibly different, and the pastor's like, we don't want your kind in our church.
Or like as soon as he gave birth, as his mother birthed him, the priest was like, no.
Yeah.
No.
That's a spawn of the devil. You've been lying with the devil or some.
Yeah.
Give me some religious bullshit that you do in a horror movie. It's all nuts.
We all think we all thought the first scene took place in the 1600s and not 57.
Right.
Pumpkinhead somehow knows to take the chain off the motorbike and then laughs about it.
This is way too much. Like, Pumpkinhead pops the tire, fine. Pumpkinhead
like slashes the engine, sure.
Yeah, or leaks the gasoline, like rips out a fuel line. But taking the chain off the bike seems challenging.
But then he literally like waves it as a taunt and is like,
yes.
And I was like, huh?
That's crazy.
Like that'd be like if the T-Rex did that.
It's 100%, yes. Or Jaws, like the scene where like Jaws pops into the boat. He's got like the bullets from Birdie's gun and swallows them. Yeah. Or no, just like
yeah.
Tom Woodruff Jr., by the way, is the name of the guy in the Pumpkinhead suit who won the Academy Award for Death Becomes Her.
Okay. Lance shows up again to try and save the day.
Oh, this is Chekhov's flamethrower coming up here.
This came up and I went, I fully forgot he had a flamethrower in that first scene.
He was using a flamethrower for like crop control, like weed killing with the thing, and it was instead of the one that people normally use for that, which is like kind of attached to a propane tank and just like the handle. It's like the full backpack flamethrower, like people who went to World War II and like brought their guns home, but Lance was the flamethrower guy, and they were like, yeah, you can take the flamethrower home.
So he's like, you two go in the house, Bunt and Tracy, and I'll go to the barn and fix something. And Tracy's like, I'm gonna go to the barn to talk to him. And I'm like, this feels weird, lady. And she's like, you can't call this off. It was an accident. Nobody saw him till it was too late. And I was like, well, I would argue that 4 of you saw him before it was too late. And
nobody. Nobody yelled like "Stop!" before you hit him.
The little boy ran through you. One friend went, "Little boy," and tripped, and all of you immediately went to help up the grown adult. All three of you, instead of being like, "Hey, there's a little boy running towards the danger."
As a dirt bike bears down on him to just mess him up kill him.
Like, stop pretending no one saw it. Like, I didn't.
Best case scenario, that kid was getting maimed.
Yeah, exactly.
I love this sequence. So we're hiding in the house. Bunt, it's like fully ripped off of Halloween. Bunt is like hiding in the closet.
The dog's in the trunk.
In the house. Yeah. But Pumpkinhead's like, doing his as he walks through the house. And then Pumpkinhead pretends that he can't see Bunt. So he like looks over where he is and then keeps looking.
Well,
as if,
this is why I thought, this is to demonstrate that Pumpkinhead won't kill anyone.
Yes.
Because I was like, he sees him and whatever. This is okay. I don't hate this anymore. And then immediately they're like, nah, fuck that. He's gonna grab this kid by the throat. And I was like, but why?
Yeah. It was honestly, it reminds me of like playing hide and seek with a child, where you just like pretend to look around and they're like, ha.
Like, I'm gonna buy myself a few more minutes of quiet time.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're fully visible, but if I just walk around the house a couple times, it won't matter. Yeah, he fully does like a sweep past, looks directly at him.
He like rips the clothes apart. It's weird.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he sweeps the clothes like you're trying to get to the back of the closet. It's very silly.
Pumpkinhead's face looks real human now for some reason. Like,
yeah, and Lance is getting Pumpkinheadier, so it's almost like they're like
it's
merging in a way.
Weird
really
meet in the middle.
Yeah.
Equilibrium. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
But the flamethrower doesn't work on Pumpkinhead at all.
Yeah, it does set him on fire, which looks pretty cool.
No, that isn't. He sets himself on fire at the end.
I thought Pumpkinhead got like flame burst on him.
At the very, very end. Because she like torches him, and when she lets go of the trigger, he's like...
You're right. Yeah.
And then Lance has to kill himself, which is weird.
Yeah. He shoots himself in the temple and takes like 6 steps forward. It's very, very strange.
Yeah, it has to get shot again.
And that causes Pumpkinhead to collapse.
And burst into
flames. Yes, sorry. I got the detail wrong there.
And then the witch buries Lance Henriksen as new Pumpkinhead.
Yeah, that part was very weird to me, especially when she went on that whole rant that she was like, finally I had to go get my own damn shovel, and now I had to scrunch up all these eyes of newt and I grinded up these wings of bat. It was like a really long extended monologue of this witch, direct to camera. I couldn't believe it.
Just staring down the barrel of the camera.
Just filling time, like Stan Winston, like do some effects or something. Just don't have this witch just deliver a monologue to camera. Like, God.
Well, she is in effect.
He's just saying children's witch things. Yeah, but I guess this means Lance Henriksen is the new Pumpkinhead.
Which, like, I guess that's how Pumpkinhead works, that you're consumed by the vengeance. Like, that's why you can see Pumpkinhead stuff, and I guess why they were doing Equilibrium. But,
yeah.
Again, 3 minutes worth of dialogue would have been really great.
I tried to skim the wikis for 3 and 4 to see if that is the thing, like, it's Lance Henriksen is now Pumpkinhead, but it seemed like just skimming them, and who they don't give a shit about the continuity for movies made for the Sci-Fi Channel, but are
they sci-fi or direct to DVD?
I think they're sci-fi originals.
Okay.
I think they're both sci-fi originals. Because it's like the peak period of that before it became all Asylum stuff. Like when you and I were watching, right around
back when it was spelled right.
Probably. Yeah. But these were like 06 and 07, which I guess is a little after the era we're talking about. But when they were like schlocky, cheap movies, but not all exclusively made by the Asylum.
No, yeah, exactly. Sharktopus. That's Asylum, I think.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, it's like in those, it seems like Lance Henriksen is like the harbinger guy, the old guy who's like, you gotta be careful of Pumpkinhead, and not, actually Pumpkinhead.
Huh. Weird.
But again, I have not watched them, and I don't plan to.
Yeah, no, I don't think I will.
I mean, anybody is out there is welcome to do so, but I enjoyed quite a bit of this, but it doesn't really come together as a movie, I feel like.
Yeah, I think there's some loose wheels, some missing parts, but I think For an 84-minute movie that's usually found somewhere on streaming, it's not bad.
Yeah.
It's not offensive.
It's on... No. Right now it's on Paramount.
Okay. I think I saw it on Showtime at the time of recording, but I don't think it's...
Showtime, not Paramount.
But I don't think it will be there by the time of release. I think...
Oh, okay.
I think it's just the end of September.
If I was a betting man, this would be on AMC this month.
Probably.
Is my guess.
Or Shudder. I think Shudder and AMC are the same now.
Yeah, it's very possible that overlap happens there. So I feel like this is a movie that was always on the AMC horror,
I miss 30 Days of Fear. Or 31.
Is that what it was called? I thought it had a better name than that.
31 Days of Fear, maybe?
Was it called Fright Fest or something? I thought.
AMC Fright Fest. Yes, it was. That's what it was.
Okay. My memory was that it had.
I haven't watched that shit since college. Back when I had cable that was just built into the everything.
Yeah. I mean, fond memories of it. It wouldn't be the same. Although what I do like with speaking of horror stuff, Shudder has the channels that are airing things.
Oh, they do that. Okay.
Select. Yeah, and so if you have Shudder through Shudder, not through something else, I don't know if it has it on the other Shudder.
I think I have it through
or whatever.
AMC maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, so AMC includes Shudder content, but I don't know if it has this, but it's it just is playing a movie when you turn it on, and there's something nice about that sort of communal experience. I remember last year, the year before, flipping it on, and it was playing Halloween, and it was just the last 25 minutes of Halloween, and it was just this weird niceness of watching the same thing as a bunch of other people at the same time.
Yeah, I've been saying for a while that I wish Netflix and stuff would do that. I mean, not right now because fuck y'all because of the strike, but just do a channel, and then for commercial breaks, just show trailers for your other shit.
Oh, I don't want the commercial breaks. I don't need that, but I do like the idea of just streaming content that's just you turn it on and it's just playing something.
Yeah.
Free me from the tyranny of choice is what we say in my house.
Yeah, I get that.
Usually when trying to decide, what to have for dessert, but
That's an easy choice for me. What to watch is the hardest choice ever.
Yeah. Sometimes you want to give your partner the opportunity to be the picker of the dessert, You gotta trade these things. Because I would pick ice cream every time.
We just do separate desserts. I think that's the beauty of we can have dessert together and it can be separate desserts.
Yeah, I suppose. The problem with that would be I would always have ice cream, and then my wife would be like, "I'd like some ice cream," and I'm like, "Well, I ate that already. You should have had ice cream when I had ice cream."
Oh, I found a good new ice cream, by the way.
We are devolving into madness on this podcast.
We're almost done. It's very good. The brand is called Jenny's, Jeni, and it's called
I like Jenny's.
Darkest Chocolate.
Yeah, I've had that.
I was like,
they have a scoop shop here.
Oh, do they? It tastes like something you'd get at a proper ice cream shop.
Yeah, they recently did a riff on the Reese's Take 5 that is also very good.
Oh, is it in stores or is it just in the shop?
I bought a pint. It's good stuff. This has been the ice cream hour.
I'm also still on the lookout for the best pistachio ice cream.
Ben & Jerry's is very good.
It's pretty good. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure it out to find the best.
I'm gonna make some soon.
Work.
This has been Dissecting the 80s first episode of the Spooktacular.
The ice cream social.
To start you off, the ice cream social of the Spooktacular. If you have a great pistachio rec, Andrew's looking.
Yeah, and don't say Talenti because I tried it and it's gross.
I don't like Talenti ice cream. I'm not a big fan.
I generally do, but I was like,
This is one of our shorter episodes in a while, but this movie is only 84 minutes long, so only so much to talk about.
Yeah,
go see it. I would recommend it. A little soft recommend for me.
Yeah, I'll soft recommend.
I heartily recommend Stone Cold, which is on YouTube in full 1080p because it has not been released in the United States, but has been released overseas in some fancy Blu-ray version.
Weird.
Yeah, a schlock masterpiece. 5 stars. So go check that out. Next week, we are bringing you... Not next week, next episode. Gosh, I don't even know how my own show works. We'll be bringing you The Blob, the
That's what it is.
version. And then rounding out the month, we will also be bringing you Friday the 13th, Part 6. And...
Is that Jason versus Carrie?
Jason Lives. I think so. It's the one of the ones with Feldman.
I think he's in the telekinetic girl.
Yeah. No, Feldman has telekinesis.
No, he doesn't. No, the girl has telekinesis.
then that's not this one.
Okay.
I think Feldman does like Jason stuff. I don't know. We'll get there when we get there. That'll be another episode. But most importantly, on Patreon this month, 1978's John Carpenter masterpiece, Halloween. That'll probably drop on Halloween for, some symmetry purposes. But keep an eye out for all that. Visit patreon.com/dissectingthe80s and you can get that episode. And we have a review to read, which hasn't happened in quite some time. So give me one moment to pull this up. If you'd like to hear your review read on the show, review the show. If you do it on Apple Podcasts, then they get sent to us. But if not, take a screenshot, email that to dissectingthe80s@gmail.com, and we read these on the air. It's a 5-star review from KLHR1. Love them. Charming and hilarious. Love revisiting my favorite movies with these two. Thank you, KLHR1. And if you'd like to hear your review, as I said, visit the podcast app of your choice and write that review. We will read those on the air. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook or at Dissect the 80s on Twitter. We'd love to hear from you. Not as active on either place as we should be, but we do love to hear from y'all. So say hello. We're always appreciative of it. And if you ever need anything else, dissectingthe80s.com. Thank you so much for listening to the show. I have been the Spooktacular Trip Leno.
And I will always be the Spooktacular Andrew Leno.
Until next time.
Don't you forget about me.
I was going to tell you to do it that way. 10 points.
Bra, 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 bra.
Dissecting the 80s is a Chum Some of This production. Ow!